All right. So next week, Monday, we're gonna start a review. We'll start the day off with doing another one of those, like laminated board games to review ratios, unit rates, that kind of thing. And then we will go into our review, and then Tuesday and Wednesday, you guys will be taking your Unit 2 mid-assessment. Okay? We're gonna do the, you know how I said sometimes we're gonna do things different, we're still teaching the lesson, but not necessarily using Open Up. Today is one of those days. So you're gonna start with a warm-up, it's front and back. Show your work, don't show your work. Don't know how to do it, do the best you can, okay? And it's gonna be more than just like 1 or 2 questions. All right, so this is what we're starting with first. Your iPad should be put away. Should not have them out. All right, so I'm gonna give you 3 minutes to work independently on this. And then you're going to spend 3 minutes working with the people at your table. All right, so again, doesn't matter which side you start on, but you have 3 minutes, go.
Pardon the interruption, I forgot the weekly drawing. Congratulations goes out to 6th grader Leo Cruz. Leo either completed all Lexia or all Imagine Math. So for 6th grade we have Leo Cruz, and 7th grade Indira Carter. Congratulations. And 8th grade is Cassidy Malton. So come on down to claim your prize. Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
That's surprising.
Why? You did your work. Alright, so now you're gonna have 30 minutes and you are going to work together in your group with your group members. See if you can't figure out some of these. Alright, go ahead. You're supposed to be front and back. Watch it. Alright, so let's go ahead and go over these. Alright, so let's start with this side because this is something that I feel like we should be fairly confident with in writing ratios by now. Alright, so it says the Cameron family drove 65 miles in 1 hour. So what is one way that we can write this ratio? Troy? Using the word?
Yes.
Okay. Alright, so there's one way. What's another way? Delilah.
65. Oh, 2, 1, but was it 2?
Stop. Shh, ladies. And the last way that you could have wrote this one, Gemma.
65 to 1 with the fraction bar.
Perfect. Alright, so any one of those ways makes this right. Alright, number 2 says Lucy spent $34 on a pair of jeans. So what is this one going to look like? Cristiano. To 2? No. A pair of jeans. Just one. You're good. Alright, what's another way? William.
34 over 1 or 34 to 1.
Okay, and then the last way, Kylie.
34 to 1 is a colon.
Okay, pink mode, 2 lawns, and in hour. In hour. That sounds really weird. Emmeline. In word form? Okay. So 2 to 1. All right. What's another way, Zoe?
Do the one using the 2 dots.
Okay. And the last way. Kaya.
2 to 1 fraction.
Perfect. All right. That was pretty easy, right? All right. So now let's flip it over. So the first one says, if Kate makes 4 necklaces in 2 hours, how many does she make in 1 hour? So before you do anything, you should be annotating these. So if you did not annotate this, you're doing it right now. This is a word problem. You guys have to get into the habit of starting to annotate. All right, so 4 necklaces in 2 hours, and it's how many does she make in 1 hour? So technically, if you do this correctly and show your work, what operation do you end up doing? Mikael. Right. So you essentially are doing 4 divided by 2, correct? All right, and we obviously know that 2 times 2 is 4. So she can make 2 necklaces per hour.
I used the double number line.
And that's okay.
Okay.
You can do that too. I did not say how you had to solve it, right? I just said do the best you can.
Okay.
So that is fine. All right, the next question says if 4 cookies cost $4, how much does 1 cookie cost? Again, this is pretty easy. We can probably do the majority of the stuff in our head. But if it's 4 cookies for $4, again, what operation are we doing ultimately to get our answer, Christiana? So here we're going to do 4 divided by 4. 1 cookie is $1. And then the last one, it says if you score 30 points in 5 games, how many points do you score per game? All right, so same thing, 30 points, 5 games. How many points do you score per game? Kylie?
6 points per game.
All right, how did you get your answer?
30 divided by 4. And that gives you 6.
And it was 6 points per game. Now, in this question, how do we know we're finding it for 1 game? Like, what word told us we were finding it for 1 game? Mila? Per. So that's important. All right, take your warm-up. Just slide it in on the back page. All right, so this is going to be our notes page, and this is also going to be our practice problems page. All right, so a rate is a ratio of 2 quantities using different units. And you're gonna need a highlighter for today, sir. All right, so an example of a rate would be 80 miles in 2 hours for 50 students in 2 classes. All right, so what are, if I'm looking at the 80 miles in 2 hours, what are the units in that one? 80 miles in 2 hours. Ronnie? No. Those are not the rates. Remember, a rate is comparing, essentially is writing a ratio of 2 different units. 80 and 2 are just numbers. What are the units, Camden?
40.
Nope. I'm not looking for the answer. There's no 40 up there. Mikhail?
50 miles in 2 hours.
I don't see where there's 50 miles, but guys,
I mean 80 miles.
the units are miles and hours. Those are 2 completely different units, right? Miles is distance, hours is the amount of time. All right, what about the next one then? 50 students in 2 classes. What are our units there, Troy?
Students.
So again, units are not the numbers. Units are what the numbers are representing. All right, a unit rate compares a quantity of 1. So this is where your per comes in. Unit rates always have a denominator of 1. So your bottom number in your ratio is going to be 1. And then here's an example of some unit rates. So 40 miles in 1 hour and 25 students in 1 class. Bless you. So essentially, like a unit rate is the simplified version of a ratio or of a rate. All right, to find a unit rate, you're going to write it as a fraction. Using division, write an equivalent ratio or equivalent fraction with a denominator of 1. And then here are some examples. So this is how essentially you're going to set it up. And you'll notice in all of these unit rates, what do they have with the numbers? What do they have with the numbers?
The unit or the miles an hour.
Right, so the units. All right, so on here, I want you to put a little star. Must include units. That's something that you have to include. So essentially, you have to look at your numbers as well. And you're always going to use the 1. And you're going to say, okay, how do I get to 1? So from here to here, how do I go from 2 to 1? What do I do? Remember, we're using division, so that should tell us, but what are we dividing by? I should have way more hands because this is not a very hard problem. How do I go from 2 to 1? Noah? I'm going to divide by 2. So Noah, if I divide by 2 on the bottom, what do you think I have to do to the top? I have to divide by 2 as well. So the characteristics of having a rate to your unit rate is very similar to the characteristics of an fraction and finding an equivalent fraction. Whatever you're doing to the bottom, you must do to the top. So obviously, we can do 90 divided by 2 in our heads, but this is our notes, so I do want to write the work out, just so you do see what you're doing. All right, what times 2 is going to give me 9 without going over? Delilah. 4. And what times 2 is going to give me 10? Camden. So you can go 45 miles in 1 hour. And again, guys, I know that we might not necessarily need this, but these are our notes, so please write this down. All right, so for number 9, we're gonna do 2 together, and then you guys are gonna try 2 on your own. All right, so for this first one, it says 120 miles in 3 hours. So we need to find out how much in 1 hour. So again, you always start with your 1. That's why, and you'll also notice that you're matching units. So I'm not gonna put hours up here. If my hours is down here, my units of hours have to be down here. Does that make sense? So your hours have to match, or sorry, not your hours. Your units have to match each other on the bottom and the top. All right, so how do I go from 3 to 1? What do I do? And again, we know we're using division because our notes told us to use division. Ronnie.
You divide by 3.
All right, so if I divide by 3 on the top or on the bottom, I gotta divide by 3 on the top. Again, I know you guys know this because this is easy math, but notes, I want you to show your work. So what times 3 gives me 1? You just call it out. What times 3 gives me 1?
3.
Nothing. What times 3 gives me 1?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, you can't. It's 3 times 3 equals 3. Nothing equals 1.
All right, what times 3 gives me 12?
4.
And what times 3 gives me 0?
0.
So you can go 40 miles in 1 hour. All right, the next one we're gonna do is 100 pages in 4 hours. I need to know how many pages we can read in 1 hour. All right, so when I'm going from 4 to 1, what do I need to do? Jonathan?
You have to divide it by 4.
Okay. And then I have to divide the top by 4 as well. So 100 divided by 4. What times 4 gives me 1? Nothing. What times 4 gives me 10 without going over? 2. Good thing it's Friday, y'all. Woo. All right, what times 4 gives me 20? You just call it out. 5. All right, so it's 25 pages per hour. One other thing I want you guys to highlight is number 7, because I don't want you to forget that. You're always going to be doing division when you're finding that unit rate. All right, so you guys are doing these bottom 2 down here. Okay, so $250 for 5 shoes. You need to know how much for 1 pair of shoes. And then 6 vacations in 3 years. You need to know how many in 1 year. Stand up when you have your answers. Make sure you're showing your work. Again, these are your notes, so you want to show all of your work. Alright, let's go ahead and go over these. Alright, who would like to kind of walk me through how to do the $250 for 5 pairs? Alright, Kylie.
On the bottom side, you do one pair of shoes because you always have one. And then you figure out what you do to get from 5 to 1, which you divide by 5. And then if you do that on the bottom, you have to do that on the top. And then you do 250 divided by 5. And 5 goes into 2 more times. So 5 goes into 25 5 times, which equals 25. And then the 0 brings down 0 and you get 50.
So it is $50 for 1 pair?
Yeah.
Thumbs up if you got that right. Okay, if you did not get that right, please make sure that you get it right or you write it down correctly. Alright, the next one's 6 vacations in 3 years. Alright, Isaac, do this one for me.
So you do 1 meter on the bottom, and then you divide 3 by 3, and you divide 6 by 3, and 2.
So then you get 2 vacations. Alright. Now, again, obviously, guys, these are fairly easy questions because we don't want to throw like the hardest stuff at you the very first day. They are going to get harder, not necessarily today, but they are going to get a little bit harder. So now let's slide over here, and we're going to do some practice problems together, and then you're going to do some on your own. Okay, and then we're going to go over all of the ones that you guys do on your own at the, not at the end, but once you guys are done, so that you make sure you have the right answers in your notes. All right, so it says you scored 84 points in 6 games. So with your highlighter, highlight 84 points, 6 games. We need to know how many points you scored per 1 game. So we know 84 points goes on the top, 6 games goes on the bottom. And we need to know how much for 1 game. So how do we do this? How do we solve this problem? Camden.
We divide 6 by 6, and
Okay.
we get 1. And then we divide 84 by 6.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do 84 divided by 6. 6 times what gives me 8 without going over? 1. And 6 times what gives me 24? 4. Okay, so this person scored 14 points per game. Questions about that one? No? We're good? Sure? No questions? Y'all asleep today?
No.
No?
I'm only doing
Alright. We're going to do number 4. It says Rick earned $67.50 for working 9 hours. So you need to, whatever this is called, highlight earn $67.50 and then 9 hours. We need to find out how much he makes in 1 hour. So with money, money will always go on top, no matter what. So we're gonna do $67.50 for 9 hours. We need to find out how much for 1 hour. So again, tell me, how do we go from 9 to 1? Mikhail? Okay, and if I divide by 9 on the bottom, okay, so over here I'm going to do $67.50 divided by 9. What times 9 gives you 6? Nothing. What times 9 is going to give me 67 without going over? 7. 7. Alright, which gives us 4, bring down my 5. What times 9 gives us 45? Troy? And then bring down my 0, and what times 9 gives me 0? 0. So then he makes $7.50 per hour. Not hard, you just gotta, if you're not confident in your dividing, that's where it gets a little bit hard. No. Alright, we're gonna do number 5. It says you make 24 cookies using 2 cups of sugar. So highlight 24 cookies, 2 cups. What are we trying to find out? What are we trying to find out? What do you guys think? Leo, what do you think we're trying to find out, sweetie?
How many cookies we can make using 1 cup?
Perfect. Alright, so how do I go from 2 to 1? Krishana?
Divide by 2.
So if I divide by 2 on the bottom, Krishana, what do I have to do on the top?
Divide by 2.
And this one I'm obviously not going to make you do it out because you should be able to do 24 divided by 2. Krishana, tell me, what does that give us? Jenna? 12 cookies. Alright, so you can make 12 cookies. And the last one we are going to do is number 6. It says Jennifer makes 14 bracelets in 2 hours. So we have 14 bracelets, 2 hours. So someone walk me through how to set this up. No, will you walk me through how to set this up? Okay. And then what? Well, over here, what do I put on the bottom side? 1. Alright, and then you are correct. I'm going to divide by 2 here, which means I'm also going to divide the top by 2. So 14 divided by 2 gives me what? Cristiano?
7.
So we can do 7 bracelets, or she can do 7 bracelets in 1 hour. Alright, you guys are doing 2, 3, 7, 8 on your own. On your own. Why are you touching each other? Why are you talking? Do not sit next to Isaac anymore. Get up and move, son. Just get up and move. Alright, so again, you're doing 2, 3, 7, 8 on your own. Get to work. please make sure you're also highlighting the numbers that you need. All right, you might not be done and that is okay, but we're gonna go ahead and go over these to make sure we have the right work on here. All right, so looking at this first one, it says you read 165 pages in 3 hours. All right, so pencils are down at this moment because hopefully you guys at least got this one done. So how do I go from 3 to 1? Gemma?
Divide by 3.
So if I divide by 3 on the bottom, Gemma, what do I have to do on the top?
Divide by 3.
All right, so I'm going to do 165 divided by 3. What can I multiply 3 by to get close to 16 without going over? 5.
You can multiply 5.
Okay, and then what do I multiply 3 by to get 15? 12. So you or this person can read 55 pages in 1 hour. All right, how do we do with that one? Thumbs up if you got it right. Okay, if you did not get it right, please make sure you get the correct information down. All right, number 3 says Mrs. Jones spends $15 for 12 bottles of water. We need to know how much she spends for 1 bottle. So how do I go from 12 to 1? Will.
Divide by 12.
Okay, so if I divide by, excuse me, 12 on the bottom.
You divide 12 on the bottom.
Okay, so 15 divided by 12. 12 goes into 15 how many times? Will? One time. Make sure you add your decimal in there and a 0. How many times does 12 go into 30?
2 times.
2 times. And how many times does 12 go into 60?
5 times.
5 times. So she pays $1.25 per bottle of water. All right, thumbs up if you got that one right. If you didn't get it right, please make sure you get the right information on your paper. Okay? You do not want to have wrong information on your paper, so if you're looking back, you get confused or you're like, what did I do? Or all right, number 7. Mrs. Corners has 120 students in 5 math classes. All right, what do we do here? And even if you didn't get to this one, that is fine. Please make sure you follow along with it for sure. All right, Ronnie?
And to get 1, you divide 5 by 5.
Okay, and if I do that on the bottom?
You divide it onto the top.
Okay, so I'm gonna do 120 divided by 5. How many times does 5 go into 12, Ronnie?
Twice.
How many times does 5 go into 20?
4 times.
So you have 24 she has 24 students per 1 class. All right, how many of you guys got that far? Okay, if you did get that far, did you get it right? Okay, if you didn't get this far, guys, please copy this down. And the last one, it says Rachel has 75 6/10 inches of ribbon to make 12 bows. We need to know how much she can, or how many inches of ribbon she uses for 1 bow. All right, Mikael, what do we do?
We divide the 12 by 12.
Okay,
We divide 75 times 6 by 12.
all right. All right, so Mikael, what do we multiply 12 by to get close to 75? 6. So 6 times 12 is what? 72. All right, so 12 times what gives me 36? 3? Yep. So then it's 6 3/10 inches per 1 bow. Okay, if you got that far, raise your hand. Did you get it right? Okay, again, if you didn't get this far, guys, please make sure you copy this down. why don't you give me a thumbs up when you're done copying this down, because I don't wanna remove this and you guys not have all the information. So once you're done, thumbs up. If you're done now, thumbs up. Emma, bring me the paper that you guys are writing on. Who's going to the nurse? Go to the nurse. Alright. You are going to glue this page in on your notes page, not your warm-up page. So fold this in half. And it doesn't matter which side you glue it down on. You can either glue it this way or this way. Like I said, it doesn't matter. You just need to make sure that it is glued in. And when you open it, you can see all your information. And then your warm-up, since it's got information on both sides, I want you to put a little bit of glue on the inside of your notebook and glue it down like this. So that when you open your notebook or you open this page, you can see both sides of information. If your bends are running low on glue, please let me know and you can grab some more so that, I mean, there should be at least 3 sticks of glue in your bends. Need more? Alright, there's a little bend up on this top shelf. Grab however many you need for to have 3 in there. Kaya, do you guys need more glue? Alright, go grab some, please. Alright, when you get this glued in, well, when you get both of these glued in, you need to turn the page and title the next blank left page, Unit Rate Exit Ticket. So instead of a cool down today, you guys are doing an exit ticket. I'm sure you guys did those last year.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's essentially the same thing as a cool down. I'm assessing what you guys have learned. You have 2 questions on the front and 2 questions on the back. Please make sure you do both sides. Are you talking about the warm-up? Okay, so when you glue in the warm-up guy, make sure you glue just a little bit in the side so that you can flip it up and see both sides. Please use your highlighter to annotate on your exit ticket. That is part of your grade. If you do not, you will lose that. Turn it into the bin when you are finished. And you're working on whatever you need to work on until Fun Friday starts. Yeah, but you can talk to him when you go to her. Like, she's probably in the middle of teaching right now, so